Hey, it's Karlie.
Hey, it's Shamina.
No.
I'm confused.
Hey, it's Karlie.
Hey, it's Shamina.
And we're emotionful. We just look at each other real quick.
Okay.
Just a...
Should we drink afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're just trying to get that part down.
Okay.
Hey, it's Karlie.
Hey, it's Shamina.
And we're emotionful. We are going to dive into our relationship.
Our origin story.
Yeah, so we are going to tell you how we began.
And came to this place.
Right here at
Right
this
now.
table.
So, take a seat.
Wait.
Take a pause.
Yes. Picture this. So, we told you guys that we went to high school together, but I just learned, so it's actually funny because I'm hearing this story literally today for the first time.
So let's
Yeah.
paint the picture, basically. So, it was the summer before sophomore year of high school.
Yes, but can I add that our brothers were very close, but we had no idea of each other. Like, I knew that my brother's friend had a little sister, but I didn't even know that we were, close in age or anything like that.
Same. And our brothers, never thought to, hey, let's introduce our sisters because we hang out all of the time, literally. So our brothers went to high school together. They were very close.
Yes.
And then...
Now, fast forward
Yes.
to what Shamina was saying.
Yeah, so summer before sophomore year of high school, I was actually taking driver's ed that summer. And me and two other people were in our group together. And so we got in the car. I think it was the first day that we were doing driver's ed, because we got into the car and we were trying to check everything, make sure nothing had been left behind, because we were the first
group.
Yeah, we were the
Drivers.
first group of the summer. And so our driving instructor was like, okay, let's check the center console, whatever. So we do, and we pull out this permit, and it's Karlie's permit. And I had no idea who Karlie was at this point. And so
that's some typical stuff that I would do,
Yes.
lose my permit, because I knew I lost it and I had no idea where it was. But at that point, I already got my license, and
yeah.
I totally was just I told the person, I was like, I lost my permit.
Yeah.
She was like, okay. And I was
So somebody that I was in the group with had known Karlie, and I think she had called her and put her on speaker. She was like, hey, did you lose your permit? And Karlie was like, yeah. And we're like, well, we're sitting in the driver's ed car and we just found it.
And I can remember that exact moment because I want to say I was at the mall, and I don't know why I remember it so clearly, but I was at the mall shopping for clothes. I was like, she's calling me, and I was just like, what? And then she was like, did you lose something? And I was like, what are you talking about? And then she was like, I found your permit in the driver's ed car. And I was like, oh, I don't need it. I was like, do whatever with it. And I think she did keep it to give it back to me. I don't remember, but I already got my license at that point. But yeah.
So that was my first introduction into Karlie, was finding her. We all had found her license. And so that school year had come, and my mom was a teacher at our high school. So
my junior year, your sophomore year.
Yeah, so Karlie's a year older than me. So I was in my mom's AP probability and statistics class, which I think was second period.
Yeah, and I don't know why I even chose that course.
Because your brother probably told you to. He was like, you need to take her.
Probably, but I chose AP Stats and was it AP Pre-Cal or was it just Pre-Cal?
It was just Pre-Cal.
Yeah, two maths, 1 year.
So I remember I was sitting in the classroom waiting for class to start, and in walks Karlie. And so we had known about Karlie because her brother had talked to my mom. He was like, I got this little sister. She's so annoying. I don't like being around her. Just all of this stuff. So my mom and I are expecting this really obnoxious person that we are not gonna like.
And walks in an angel from heaven.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But really.
So Karlie walks in, and we're like, oh, this is Karlie. Okay, good to know. And so I think in that moment, my mom and I had realized, your brother was lying. Or we were like, what? He hated you out so bad.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I think that's just that sibling thing, but it's funny because I remember talking to your mom then, and she was like, you walked in and you were like, how are you? How is your day going? And she said she was so thrown back because she was expecting, you know, what my brother had pictured for her. And I was just like, oh, no, like, you know, and then I don't remember if we sat next to each other because I had some other friends in that class too. So I don't know if immediately we sat next to each other.
I don't remember, but that was kind of the beginning of our friendship. And we started hanging out a little bit more.
Well, we were just talking before starting to record, like we were reminiscing on high school, and I was so oblivious in high school of just like, I was just like I had said in previous podcasts, skipping through fields, you know, and for me, if I started talking to someone and I realized I liked you, I would like be like, all right, we're friends now, you know, and I feel like maybe I don't know, I can't remember exactly how our friendship started, but I'm sure it was along the lines of we probably talked or whatever, and then I was like, oh, I like her, and then I put her into my,
under her wing, in her nest. Here,
yeah,
you're
and then
mine now.
I
collected you.
Yeah, you're mine now. You're one of mine, so I'm keeping you.
But I remember the first time we hung out, we went to a Mitchell football game. It was our school, but it was at Mitchell.
Okay.
And so you picked me up, and
I drove.
Yeah, you were in the blue SUV.
Oh
at
gosh,
the time.
yeah.
So you had picked me up, and we went to the football game, and I remember that because I was like, oh man, like I don't think I could drive yet when we
probably
went.
not if you were a sophomore.
Yeah, I think I was just about to get my license or something, so I was like, oh my god, I feel so cool riding around with this older person. So I remember we went to the game, and that's the first time that I think you and I hung out outside of school.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I have really bad memory.
Yeah,
like. I mean, they're, like, obviously remembering that phone call randomly and that I was shopping. I have weird memory like that, but, like, how our beginning, that's, like, when we first hung out, but then we slowly just started becoming close and close, and, like, then you were, like, we were
inseparable.
Yeah, because in high school it was me and another friend, but then I think when me and you met,
I swooped in.
Yeah, but her friends were mad at me for stealing her away.
Yeah. And people, so my mom was a teacher at high school. Karlie looks like my mom's child. I do not look like my mom's child. And so people used to think like I was adopted. And I remember we would be in class together and they were like, is that your daughter? And I'd be like, no, excuse me, I am. And they're like, what?
Although this is a little bit off topic, but me and Shamina went on a vacation once with my parents. And we went to this rest stop and someone was like, are you guys twins? Like, do we look like twins? I'm sorry.
We're fraternal twins.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But, so back to high school. Yeah, I just remember then we slowly, like, were, like, I don't remember if we had our lunch together, but we were just, like, always seeing each other, and we had to have lunch together. Maybe it was the year after or something.
It was my junior year.
Because I remember you started to sit with me.
I sat with you guys, and then when you left, like, when the seniors left, I was like, I have no friends because I hung out with you and all of your friends. And so I remember, like, after the seniors left, we were still in school. I was like, I gotta find other people to sit with at lunch. Like, I remember walking over.
Like a week or two.
I know, but it was lonely. I was like walking over. I was like, can I sit with you guys? Because I ain't got no friends.
I have nowhere to sit.
So we became very close, I think, very quickly. We spent a lot of time together. Karlie used to have bonfires for whatever event, and that was like the place to be. Like if we weren't at a football game Friday night or at Beef O'Brady's after the football game Friday night, then it was like we're at Karlie's house for the bonfire, and they were like huge.
Yeah,
like
I would
huge.
I remember like, so I live like, well, my parents live kind of in the middle of nowhere, and people from like the back of the neighborhood or like random people would like pull up, and I'd be like, who are you? And they would just see like all the cars in our yard and driveway, and they'd be like, oh, like, and I'm like, no, like, just because there's a lot of people here doesn't mean just like everyone's invited. So I remember there were some times where like I'd have to be like, you can't be here, you know? But yeah, like now I'm like, I would never do that. It seems too stressful. Like, why would I invite all these people over? But so then though, I went to college. We still stay close, I feel like. Because remember your birthday. So I was her senior year, obviously. I was a freshman in college. And I was like, Shamina, I'm not going to be able to make it for your birthday. Like, I'm was it on like a Friday or something?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
But
I was so bummed. I was like, I'm turning 18 this year. Like, I was like so sad.
And so I had it all planned, and I think I either made cupcakes or bought a cupcake. And since her mom was a teacher, obviously I was able, and it was, I went to high school there too, so people knew me. But I snuck in when she was in her mom's class and brought her a little cupcake and I think a balloon maybe. I don't know, but.
Something like that, yeah. I was like, oh my God, you came! Thank you! So I think that was really cool. And we made a point, because even I see these memories on Facebook around this time of year, and it's like you going off to college and you writing me this big message, we're still going to be friends. Nothing's going to change. Or I think it was even today, it was like, hey, I know this girl Shamina and she's like my best friend, but I haven't seen her in a while. So like, can we hang out? So I think, we kind of got a little more distant, but like I would go, to hang out with Karlie at college. Or I remember one time you were like walking me around campus.
And I just feel like that's the evolution of a friendship though. Like in high school, you're so used to having everyone
accessible.
All the time. You see them in your classes and lunch, and then like, I think true friendships are able to evolve into the next steps of what life brings. But I will say, so then this is where things get rocky, because I remember Shamina went to UCF her freshman year. And did you even stay the whole year? You did stay the whole year?
Yes, I stayed the whole year.
But then she was, she had decided she wanted to come back and transfer to USF. And she's like, let's be roomies. And I was like, Shamina, listen, this is not a good idea. I know it's not. It's hard being roommates with your friend, because I had just finished being roommates with, she was a new friend, but the ending was kind of rough, and me and her struggled towards the end, and me and her are friends again too, but just like being roommates with your friend is like really hard. So I remember you were like, no, we got this. And I'm like, bro. And I can even remember one specific story. I was like, listen, like me and you'll argue about the dumbest things like toilet paper and paper towels. I remember saying paper towels. I don't know why. And you're like, no, it's going to be different. We'll be fine. And I'm like, okay. And were we different? No. We ended up not talking.
But it was different because of, I think, our personalities, but also where we were at in college, because you were more of like party, having people over all the time, doing whatever, and you're very loud. So like if you had people over, you're loud.
And it's funny that you say that, because I remember one memory where you were in the bedroom, because her bedroom in our college apartment was right next to the living room. Right up we were right next to each other, and we were both right off the living room. And I remember I had in college, I would meet someone and we'd become friends. And I remember I was walking, I had a puppy at the time, and I was walking her and I met this guy, and he lived like a couple near me, and so we became friends, and then he would come over with some of his friends and we would all chill all the time, whatever. I think him and a couple of his friends were over with me and like another roommate and maybe someone else, and we had the TV on or something. We were just chilling, and I remember you texted me and you were like, can you please lower the TV? And at that point we were already like not in the bed, like she wasn't coming out of her room. She was texting me, if that gives you a little of where we were at. And I remember, like, I said, like, yeah or something, and I remember I lowered it, like, too, and I'm like, bro, it's the living, like, I don't remember if I said it out loud or in my head, but I'm like, it's the fucking living room, like, I'm gonna watch TV if I was that petty person that, like, no, And I just remember that one memory, because I feel like that, and then, like, you ended up moving in with your boyfriend at the time, and then we just, like...
Well, because I think
you were always with him.
I was always with him, but it was just...
And maybe I was like, kind of like, bro, you're always with your boyfriend, like, you never want to chill. Maybe, I don't know, I don't remember, but I feel like maybe that's also what I was like. But because I was single at that time, doing my thing.
You were single, but I was also never like the party person, or never like I like to hang out in big groups of people person. I was never that person.
Yeah,
it was like you and I always hung out like one-on-one, or if we were in a very large, just like a couple or a really big group. But I was like, yo, I'm so introverted that like I can't. So when I got to college, that like your extroversion like exemplified.
Oh yeah, because I remember every weekend I'd be like, "Where's the party?" You know, we'd be walking around the apartment complex looking for a party.
My Friday night is like in my freaking room.
Well, now that's my Friday night.
Right. So I think that had a big part of it, because I felt like I was missing out so much because I wasn't going and doing those experiences, but I also felt really uncomfortable. And then you and I were growing so distant, so it wasn't like, hey, I want to tag along and do this and that. So I think that's where a lot of the animosity, like, we didn't really argue over anything. It was just the noise and the difference in, like, because you'd have people over, like, super freaking
to like 3 a.m.
And I'd be trying to sleep, and it's like, excuse me, like.
But and in my head, I'm thinking, excuse me, you know, like, so. Yeah, like, I think definitely looking back, I was like, wow, like, I was like annoying, you know, because I'd be up to like 3 a.m. chilling. Like I said, we would just be smoking.
You were the bad roommate.
No, maybe, possibly. No, but I think that, like, yeah, I think especially that apart, like, when I look back on that apartment complex, though, I have so many good, like, that apartment complex was, like, not the best in like terms of like where it was located and like this, but I have so many good memories at that apartment complex. It's just so crazy. Like, I remember we would turn the balcony into like a movie, that we had lights hanging, and would turn it into like movie night and watch movie, and like those were good times. But anyways, back to us. We ended up eventually just like not really talking.
Once I like
you were obsessed with Frozen at that time though. I don't know why I remember that, because I think maybe when I ended up having to take care of Bailey, me and you talked a little bit, because I remember sitting in your room with you. I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember sitting in your room with you, and and it might have been around your birthday or something, because you were like showing me like the Frozen blanket you got and like the Olaf thing. And so I remember that, but yeah, eventually it turned into us, we didn't talk.
Yeah, I never thought we were going to be friends again. Like, I had accepted the fact that, like, this was it. We just drifted apart. Like, I think there was definitely some, like, resentment or animosity that was there, but I was like, this is it. Like,
and I think for me, I was so wrapped up with myself in those years that I didn't care. I was just like, no, like, because you're lost. You know, like, that's, I feel like, how I took it.
I don't even think you came to, like, my graduation party when... I can't remember if you came to my graduation party when I graduated my bachelor's or not.
I don't remember.
Yeah. But, anyway. So how do we reconnect?
So my Bopshi, my grandma, she... on and off for some years, she had ovarian cancer, and she was in remission, and then it would come back, and then she was in remission... And then it came back, but it was it happened so quick. Like, it was probably over a month time, but on my day of graduating from undergrad, she went to the hospital, and she didn't get to make it to my graduation. And I remember she was very upset about that, and she was only in for a couple days. And it wasn't actually... like, she seemed to be doing better after that, but it was a decline. And I think it wasn't so much the cancer as she was tired and ready to, like, not be hurting and be in pain. Because I'm sure she was in pain from all that the cancer had done. And so that was December 15th. And she passed away January 3rd. So it was like I guess a little less than a month. Anyways, you know, she was always a huge part of my life. And so all of my friends that I had in high school, anything like that, they knew Bopshi. Like,
oh, yeah, and we even like went on vacations, and Bopshi would like go with us. And
yeah,
I think we even stayed in a room with Bopshi once on one of our vacations together.
And Bopshi was like everyone's grandma, you know, like she just was always funny there, you know. We're like, oh, we're going to go to Bopshi's, and she'd have little treats for you to eat, or you just say hello and talk to her. And so I think when I realized, like, this is it for Bopshi, I reached out to, like, some of my friends. And so I think that's when I had reached out to you, and I was just like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but, you know, I'm sure along the lines of, like, Bopshi's not doing well if you want to see her. Yeah. Or maybe it was after she had... Did you get to see her before? Okay, you did.
I did. And I'm surprised that, like, because now I'm thinking about it, because I could have chosen not to and just been like, oh, like, that totally sucks. But I did, because I went to your parents' house and I was able to see Bobshi.
But I think that just shows how, not to cut you off, but I think that shows how much of an effect Bobshi had on people.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though me and you weren't talking, you wanted to see Bobshi.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because I remember she wasn't verbal.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like in and out sort of thing. So we like said hi and like said bye and stuff. And then we went upstairs and we were talking. And we were just like catching up. And you were actually just like getting into things with the most recent ex, because that's what we talked about for most of the time. You were like, yo, there's this dude, blah, 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 blah. And you were like telling me about him. And I remember that's the first time that I heard.
And it's so funny that I forgot about that, but you're right, because I think I told Bobshi about him, but she never got to meet him. And it really bothered me that she didn't get to meet him, because me and him had met in August. So August, September, October, November, December. I think I counted wrong, but like that's like 4 or 5 months. And to me, my family is very, very important to me, and was very, very important to me. And like, I wanted her to be able to meet him, and she never got the chance, because I remember I wanted him to go to my college graduation undergrad, and he didn't go. And I think he even like said like he thinks it was like a little too soon or something. And it really bothered me that he didn't go, because it was like, what do you mean, you know? So I remember though that I forgot that that's around the time when me and him started talking. And yeah, it really did bother me with that whole situation, how it worked out with me and him, because he never got to meet Bobshi. He didn't go to her funeral and anything. And I remember you, I'm just gonna say their names because I don't think they care. Sierra and Sydney, they were there for me with the funeral. Like, they went to her funeral and stuff, and I know that's really hard.
I know, so that was the first time that we like reconnected after a while. And then when Bobshi did pass, I went to the wake, because I remember going there. I felt so awkward and uncomfortable, because I was like, Karlie and I are like not in like the best place, and like I'm going. So I remember going to that, and then I think from there we kind of just, how it happened. We just like talked off and on, and then started to like reconnect. And then it was like graduate school time, because you were going for your master's. I think you had started before I did. So we were back kind of in the same area. Because when you graduated, I was already working. Yeah. Because I went to your grad school graduation party. Yes. It was at a hotel. Yes. I didn't stay long because I was already working till like 11, and then. So I think after that, like Bobshi brought us back together, and then after that we were like, okay, like I think we had like hashed it out or whatever. And we were fine. Swept it under the rug. I don't know. I don't remember what we did. I don't either. But we reconnected. But then I feel like we really got close. I don't know. Because I was going to say with my breakup, but I feel like that's not... I mean, that's why we started the podcast, but that's not... I feel like we were close before, like... No. So I think we have different phases, because like I graduated with my master's, and I moved, before I graduated though, I moved into your parents' house, and you weren't working yet because you hadn't gotten that job that you had just recently quit. Yeah, because I started you and I were both at your parents' house. Yeah, and I don't remember that. I don't remember living there with you there. What? It was like a month. I don't remember that. It was like right before, whatever. Yeah. So, and then you moved out in like September-ish, I think. Yeah, because that's when September 24th was when I started. So you moved out. So we were close then, because I think when I was starting to go through the breakup, and I remember, because when I was going through the breakup, you and I would hang out a lot, and I would come to your house, and we were also working on like the lotions and stuff at the same time. Yeah, and I don't remember you being there for that. Experimenting. I got videos, man. I know, I have really bad memory, but that's like because when I had tried doing it this past time, and you're like, didn't we do it this way? And I was just like, Shamina was there? Like, I have horrible memory. So I pick and choose what is going to stay up here. Yes. So we did that, and then we started reconnecting. And then I think with my breakup, because I moved into your parents' house, we were obviously closer. And then I think after that, we were kind of more distant because I moved out. And then you were living in a different city. And we, like, kept in touch, but it was just, like, here and there sort of thing. And then it was around last September because I was having a birthday party. And you weren't going to be able to make it because you had just gone to your other grandma's funeral and were potentially exposed to COVID. And so you had called me and you were like, hey.
And I didn't go.
You didn't go.
Because you had a friend that was pregnant and you were like, I don't want to risk it.
Yeah. So you didn't go, but I remember it was like the weekend before or something. We talked for like an hour on the phone and I was like, yo, like we have not talked like that in forever. And we were just like, you know, shot the shit, like whatever. And we were just talking. And then I think
That's so funny because that's what we do like every
now.
Yeah. and I like talking on the phone.
Yeah. You always have, I feel like.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not a big texter, and so going into like dating too, I know this is off topic, but I'm bad because I'll pick and choose when I want to respond, but like if you call me, I could talk for like an hour, 2 hours, but texting I'm like, oh, like this sucks. But yeah, I don't remember that, but
because that was in September, so we had talked about that, and then I think I had said like, wow, like I really enjoyed doing that, like I missed talking to you because at that point, like I had no friends, like we're in the middle of the freaking pandemic, like you know everything was happening. So and then it was the breakup because the next month was October,
and that's when I broke up with him.
And then you would like call me more and more and more, and so we got closer from there. And
yeah, I guess that's true because then. Although we broke up in October, like everyone knows, we tried to be roommates, but it was weird, and so I think I was leaning on my friends a lot because I was just like,
yeah,
this is weird. And then,
because I can't remember
February I moved back home.
Yeah, because I think for the holidays, because I remember going to your house for Christmas.
Well, I was home. Yeah. I was home for the holidays because I took like 2 weeks off. I was home for Thanksgiving, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, and I'm sure I've told you, but I didn't know it then, but my ex had told me that his dad had offered to move him out at Thanksgiving when I was home I think I went home for like a week.
You didn't tell me that.
No.
No.
Yeah, he had told me that his dad offered while I was away that he could move him out and he could stay with his dad, and he said no because he thought we were going to work it out and we were going to go through it, and so he didn't do it. And then I think maybe around like Christmas or something is maybe when he realized like, oh, this is it. Yeah. And so, because again, he probably really didn't believe that it was serious because we'd done it so many times of like, but it had never been that long. So all the other times that we'd like broke up or took a break, it was only like a day, 3 days. Yeah. But you know, it was not a month or anything like that, but I was serious that time. And so he told his dad no. And so, I was home for Thanksgiving, and then Christmas was coming right back up, and I took like 2 weeks PTO.
Yeah, because I remember I
went home the whole time.
Yeah, because I think Thanksgiving I dropped by. I can't remember, but I know Christmas I did because I went to go see my brother and niece. They were in town, and then on the way back I dropped you off your Christmas presents and like hung out. So that was when we were like starting to get even more close because I feel like we've been, even in high school, we were very close, but I think our relationship now is a lot different than it was when we were younger.
It's like deeper now.
Yeah.
And I know that I say this a million times, but I really feel like our relationship is deeper and stuff because of the breakup I went through.
I agree.
Because I don't think that I ever really knew those feelings. And so, like, if you went through a breakup, I was like,
it's fine.
Yeah, or not like it's fine, but it's like, oh, like, you know, like, it was just like, I thought that I was helping. I thought that I knew what like, oh, screw him. Like,
yeah.
But I did not know. And then now I'm like, oh, you know, and so I feel like it's like really making me be aware of my feelings, other people's feelings, their emotions, and just like evolving in that sense. Because then, the Christmas break was up. I realized I didn't want to work at my job anymore.
Yeah, that's when everything happened for you.
Yeah, because I knew for like 9 months I was on and off of like, I'm not happy at my job. But then I think taking that 2-week break and realizing I'm not looking forward to going back to work, I cried to my mom. I was like, I cannot do it. And so I put my 2 weeks in like the day I went back to work. Mm-hmm. And then those 2 weeks, every other day I was calling out of work because I had sick time and they weren't going to pay me out my sick time. So you best believe I'm using that.
Yes, but during that time, it was like Karlie was calling me every day, like multiple times a day. Like, Shamina, this is how I'm feeling now. And I'd like talk her down.
No, not that. Not then yet. That was when I moved back home.
Oh.
So not at that point yet was I.
Yeah,
I was calling you multiple times a day when I went home thinking I was just going home for my mom's birthday. And then after I had my therapy session, my therapist was like, I don't think you should be going back.
Right.
And so then I think that's when I was calling you multiple times. I'm like, Shamina, this is how I'm feeling, because it was like, oh, this is real. Me and him are really gonna break up. Because obviously, like, even though I knew it was real before, we were still living together and, like, cordially, like, making our lives work while we were together. So I wasn't losing him.
Yeah.
But then, like, when my therapist, and I knew it was just like,
we're off track.
Oh, yeah. Of us. So we then, when I finally was at my parents' house full time, that's when I started calling you multiple times a day, crying. Sad. Yeah.
And I think when we were younger, it was always like me, the one with like the relationship stuff or
and
whatever,
emotions.
and the emotions. And then now I feel like it's flipped. But I also feel like you're learning more about me and my emotions through all of this, because it's like, like that one day we talked about in the podcast where like we were sitting in your parents' kitchen and you were like talking about your ex.
I was gonna bring that up.
I was like, Karlie, I can't listen to this anymore. Like, I love you, I want to support you, but like, stop talking about this because I can't handle it.
I was actually going to bring that up because I feel like I needed to hear that though. Like at the time I was like, oh, but then I was also like, no, I need someone to tell me that because I'm reading that book, but it's like, if you constantly are giving them your energy by talking about them all the time, how do you expect to move forward? Mm-hmm. And so, like, obviously I was hurting and everything, but I also was like, I think that made me realize, like, I can't keep talking about him all the time or I'm just going to continue to keep hurting. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that was, obviously it didn't happen overnight and I would still talk, but I feel like even now, I'm noticing I don't talk about it that much. No. Unless we're, like, doing this podcast or something.
Right. But I think after that, you were a lot more mindful because before I was, like, all the time. And I knew that you needed that. But then it was like, like, this is all we talk about. Yeah. And, like, what about my shit? Like, I got shit happening in my life. So I think that was, like, a helpful point in our relationship. But I think it's crazy that we've known each other for over 10 years. Like, that just, like, baffles my mind. Because it's like, like, how am I old enough to even know somebody for that long? Like, I just don't understand. But I think it's really cool to see, like, the evolution of our relationship, because we were like, oh, and we didn't even talk about this, but when we were in high school and, like, early into college and we would take trips, I remember there was this one trip in particular. And we got into
a fight?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Because we went to Savannah and like somewhere else. And I remember when we got home, you were like, yo, you didn't even offer to like pay for anything. You were like, you just had my family pay for everything. And you're like, you could have at least offered. And in my mind, I was like, your family invited me on vacation. I didn't ask them to buy me anything unless it was like food or something. But I was like, okay. And we didn't talk for like maybe like a couple of weeks after that.
Really?
I was really bummed.
I remember that, and I feel like it was also just we were together
for so long,
all 24/7 for like 2 weeks
like
straight.
To the point to where she would go to tell me something, and I was like, I know, I was with you. Like,
yeah,
I was the person that you were actually trying to tell me
about. And so then I think it was just like when you're on vacation and it's not like someone else there too. It was literally me and Shamina and my parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. And we didn't even really mention the podcast though, so I wanted to talk about that. And so I remember so how the podcast originally came about was I was trying to figure out what the heck I can do. Like I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I just quit my job. I'm burnt out from social work. This is not it for me. So I was like thinking of creative things, and then I don't know how I got into the podcast, but I was like, I'm going to make a podcast. And I feel like I brought it up to you.
You're like, I'm going to make a podcast. This is my title. Like, Karlie came up with the name, Emotionful. And
yeah.
You're like, what do you think? I was like, that's great. And then she was telling me all about it and super excited. And I was like, okay. And then I remember I was talking to my boyfriend. I was like, Karlie's starting a podcast and like didn't even ask me to be part of it. And then because like the next day or two, you're like, hey Shamina, like I want you to co-host a podcast. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and but originally the podcast was literally supposed to be about my journey.
Yeah.
But then I think including you in it, and then it was like, okay, we can't always talk about me.
First episode.
Yeah.
So that does not give an accurate description of what the podcast is like.
Yeah, because I think any episode, I don't know, like for me, every episode we evolve.
Yes.
And I love that because I think, again, in the beginning, I was still so consumed with my breakup that that's all that I could talk about, and I felt like it was an outlet because I didn't want to keep talking about it to you, even though I kind of was because you were my co-host, but it was like a different,
Yeah, it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, I have a chance to let it all out again. But I think, and this is me personally, is every episode we have helps me grow and be like, oh my God, like, especially when we have guests, like, oh, I feel that way too. Like, I'm not the only one. And so it's just like really awesome. Like, it's validating.
Yeah.
And I feel like those validations help me grow. And then I'm just like, wow, these episodes are cool, and I notice growth in each episode.
Yeah. But I think because I can remember when we first had like these ideas and you were like, we're doing this, like go, go, go. Like all of a sudden I was like, yo, like we need to pump
I had nothing
the brakes.
to do.
Like we need to, so I think even like now where we're at, like our personalities help to balance each other because I'm a lot more structured and like organized and you're just like, okay, I'll show up and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm the talker.
Yes, and we'll have these ideas, and then it's like, Karlie, we need to like roll this back. Like, let's be realistic. And you're like, oh yeah, that's right. And
but I think it's also good to have these big thoughts because we, not that I'm saying you don't, but if we didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Exactly. So I think just the juxtaposition of like how we are as people helps to like balance it out with the podcast. Oh, I remember now. Go. And I remember in the beginning when we were starting to do this that I had texted you and I was like, listen, if we're going to make this work, like you and I have to be like really open and honest. We have to be transparent. If I'm getting annoyed with you for some reason or I need space or I need you to do this, like we have to make that work.
But you're the internal
open.
One.
Yeah.
So maybe you said that to me for your own sake.
Maybe.
Because even sometime remember you were kind of like standoffish with me and I could feel it. And I think even one time when we were on the phone, I was like, did I do something? And then you didn't say anything. You kind of like didn't acknowledge it. And I was just like, all right, I'm gonna let you go. And then like, I don't know if it was that night or later or a couple days later, but then you texted me and you're like, I'm sorry, I've just been like stressed or whatever. And I was like, that's fine, but like, just tell me that. Like, I'd rather you say I got a lot of shit going on than be mean. I don't know. But I'm one to express my feelings. Like, and I'm trying to balance that because I'm starting to realize I don't need to tell you every single second, but I'm very like outwardly emotional.
Yes, I'm internally emotional.
Yeah, and so like maybe that was a bad quality of mine for my ex because. But also, I think it was a lot of build-up. But I like to express my emotions, and I want you to know how I'm feeling, because I think it just makes things easier.
Yeah. So I think when I don't say things to you and my behavior is different.
I know.
Well, yeah, but you also think you did something when it has nothing to do with you, and then if I don't tell you. So anyway, we had that conversation very early on, was like, we need to be really transparent. Like, if we're going to make this work, if we're going to be, like, basically, like, business partners, kind of. Like, we have to have this good foundation. In our relationship. And I think that's actually been really helpful because it's like, hey, like if I'm, if we had to like reschedule with a guest or something and it's like, yo, like I'm just really like emotionally tapped out. I can't handle this right now. And you're like, yeah, okay.
And also recently what you had brought up, I think was a really good idea of we need to have separation of this is podcast talk and this is our friendship because you were right. A lot of times when we were talking, it was always just about the podcast. And so we've now made it like, okay, we're going to have a meeting once a week. And that is when we talk about the podcast. Like, obviously, we'll still like, hey, real quick, or like we'll text. But we also need to remember, like, we need to...
We're friends first.
Yeah, we're friends first. And we need to feed that friendship. I knew there's a better word, but you know what I'm saying? Like, make that a priority too.
Yeah. But I think it's been cool to see not only like where the podcast has gone, but like how far you and I have come, like not only together, but just like throughout the different phases of our lives. Because we've been, you know, with each other through grief and loss, through breakups, through graduations, through birthdays, through
good and bad
celebrations. And so now it's like, I mean, we're family.
Yeah. Sister. I've never had a sister. Well, that's a lie. I have Stacy.
Oh, I was like, you got a sister?
No, but
sister-in-law. I got one too.
I know this is totally off topic, but I just have to say real quick. Me and Stacy knows when she first started dating my brother, I was not a fan. I was like, you're stealing my brother from me, but now I love her to death. But yeah, like I love you.
Oh, that's sweet. But that's our story, and we wanted to share it with you guys because
it's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, but showing like
all of it, the bumpiness of the roads, but like I think not only in relationships, but it shows in friendships. You have to cherish your friends, and like we have to work on our friendship. It's not just, I mean, there are some that just come naturally to some people, but I think that how far will that go?
Yeah,
you know, like, because I think we have a naturalness to our friendship, but we also have to work on it and be, like you said, be like mindful.
Communication, boundaries, like all those kinds of things. So we wanted to get real with you guys and talk to you about how our relationship dynamic is and how it hasn't been wonderful and perfect throughout all of these years. And for a period of time, like we didn't even speak, and I didn't think that we would ever like reconnect or be friends at all. And
it's weird, like thinking about it, like that we didn't talk. Because of where we're at now, like...
Yeah, I know.
We didn't talk.
I know, like, if Karlie doesn't call me, like, throughout the day, like, I'm thinking, like, why hasn't Karlie called me? Or, like, I haven't talked to her today. Or even the other day, you were like, yo, I talked to Omar on my lunch break, and I was like, you called somebody else? I didn't tell you that, but I thought in my head, I was like, well, why didn't you call me? You know that I'm free.
Well, it's funny because there was one time where I didn't call you till later, and you were like, I haven't talked to you all day, and I was just like, oh, I just figured you were like doing, like, you don't call me. What the heck? Why am I the one that always has to call you?
I know, but that's always been the thing. I try now to.
It'd be nice to get a call once in a while, Shamina, to know I'm loved.
I'll work on it.
No, but yeah, it's definitely like I call Shamina, I call my mom, and then I'm like, ooh, so you never have to worry about me not communicating if you want to date me.
Please,
I'll call you.
Edit that out. Edit that out.
But yeah, so
this is us,
Karlie
and Shamina.
Emotionally full.
Ooh, I like that.
I did too.
Thanks for listening.
Mwah.